Hello, everyone. So, more like so. How many are there now? Two. So, we're not gonna waste time. Just for review. Or is it a review? I don't remember teaching the different kinds of clefs already. So we'll start with the first one that you really know. Hi, Lisa, Anna. That's actually my Anna. So there are various kinds of clefs. So I'm going to discuss first the clefs. Hopefully for the, yeah, this is the erasable one, the whiteboard. So that's the one we all know. And the middle C is right over here. Or let me make this like let me make this like that. And then there you go. That's your middle C in your G clef. Now there's another clef that's called, well, there are other clefs, the C clefs. So these will be the C clefs. This one is the G clef. G clef, that one. And then from here, clefs. So for the G clef is right down here. The first line down below. Next, the middle C, the pitch of this is exactly the same as that one. For the C clef. A C clef, they'll start in here, they will be called C clefs. So this is the C clef. This one is the soprano clef, and then there's another one. Who could guess what type of clef this is? Yes, it's still C clef, but how do you call it? Can anyone guess? Okay, so the middle C for this one is here. Now, this is the sounding middle C for the G clef. This is the middle C for soprano clef. And this is the middle C for mezzo soprano clef. Mezzo soprano. And then another clef. This is the clef that alto players read. This is the one that's used. It's called the alto clef, and the middle C is right there. So if this is the middle C, middle C, middle C, middle C, okay. So automatically for the alto, the middle C is already high up here, meaning the soprano's voice is of course higher. That's why for a soprano, the middle C is only up to here. So the G clef, well, I would say maybe that's called the coloratura soprano, the highest voice. That means it's so easy to reach the middle C. It's just down here. Now soprano, it's only here. Mezzo going up now, meaning the mezzo soprano has more lower tones compared to the soprano voice. Now, the alto has a lot more lower voices because the middle C is right there in the middle. So this is called the alto clef. And then, who could guess what clef this is? You know, you could use the chat box to write down your answer, to type it down. So this one would be called the baritone clef. This is the baritone clef. Baritone. Of course, a male's voice is much lower, so don't get confused. Because the middle C here is very low, that means the notes that go higher here will be much, much higher than the middle C. If this is the middle C for a male voice, the male voice has a lot more lower notes. You see now the gradual elevation of the tones. So baritone has lower voice compared to alto, and alto to mezzo, mezzo to soprano, and soprano to the G clef. And of course, you would have to guess it, right? The baritone. Oh, sorry, this is not a baritone. This is a tenor clef. Sorry, I missed that. Tenor clef. Tenor, and then this is now the baritone. Yes, the baritone has a lower voice if you compare that to the rest of what we have here. So, of course, naturally a tenor has a higher voice than a baritone. Now, if I write down the next clef, which is the bass clef. The bass clef, the middle C is actually high on the treble clef, but the bass clef is normally there. Now the high beginning of the G clef, but this is just to show you the relevance of each voice to the G clef. Now the bass clef, the middle C is here, but normally we would know that this is a bass clef because of the F that's indicated F clef. But these are called the C clefs. These. So all the C clefs look similar, except that the placement, well, they're the same except for the placement. For the soprano, it's the first line indicating the middle C. For the mezzo soprano, it's the second line. Alto, the middle, and then the fourth line for tenor, and high up there is for baritone. Okay, so now let's put them down. So that's just the introduction into the class. Okay, so now for the intervals, we have to know also the different intervals. So I'll use this one. It's a micro line, and then here. So like last time, I actually drew keyboard. Okay, so this is the C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Now, How do we define intervals? Intervals are, well, of course, the distance between two tones. Well, at least two tones. So from C to D, what is the interval? C to D. First of all, we need to count. When we count notes, when we count the intervallic distances, we always start from the lowest note. So the lowest note here is C to D, or the first note to the second note. So first, we know that the interval is an interval of 2. So let's put down 2. Now, if there are 2 half steps going to the note, from this to this, from this point to the second note, it will be called major. Major, since the interval is between 2 and C and D is just number 2, and then 2 half steps, C to C sharp and C sharp to D. So 2 half steps, therefore it's called major 2 or major second. Now, what happens if I'll write this further away? So here. So the interval here is major second. Now, if the D gets a flat, it means that the D wiped down 1 half step. Therefore, we'll have to call it minor second. Now it becomes minor, small letter m, and second. The interval is minor second. So let's take this off. Why? Because now the distance between these 2 notes from C to D flat is only half a step or semitone. Therefore, it's called minor second. Now, if theoretically speaking, you'll get another flat there, what happens to the minor second? Because theoretically, it will again lower 1 half step. But the interval is still second. Don't get confused. I know that they're enharmonically sounding the same now. They would sound exactly the same. C. This would sound as Do or C. But when you write it down this way, it will still be called a second interval because this is theoretically C going to D. Therefore, what or how do we call this? It will be called diminished second. Okay, I hope you don't get confused. So now we know that from a major, if you go down 1 half step, you go down to minor. Another half step down will be diminished. Okay? I hope this is clear. Now, another example. This is the C. And then, let's see, 4th degree. This is the black one. This one. So, a 4th degree, as you know, perfect 4th, when the interval just follows the key signature of the lower note, the one on the left, this one, or the lower one they're sounded at the same time. No sharps, no flats, therefore just follow the key signature of this one. Then this is an interval of 4, which we will call now perfect 4. Now, a perfect 4th, one lowered half a step will directly go down to diminish. So it's diminished right away. So theoretically, this will interval of 4, but then it would sound as like that. But we don't know. Okay. And then another one, while if this one, if the F goes up 1/2 step, then it goes, if this one goes 1/2 step up, then we call it augmented, or that's where you get the plus sign. Here also, the major interval, when it goes 1/2 step higher, it goes to augmented, same. It's just the same. So after major, 1/2 step up will be augmented. So and then here, the same. However, what's the difference? From a perfect 1/2 step down, you go straight to diminished. Whereas here, from a major tone, when you go 1/2 step down, you first go to a minor down. There it is, the diminished interval. Now, we also call the first notes or the tonic as prime. We call them prime since the tonic is prime. Also, the octave higher intervals. Exactly the same purpose or use as this one, the perfect and the prime. The prime, when you go down 1/2 step, you go directly to diminished. When you go 1/2 step higher, goes up to augmented. So there are 3 types of intervals. One is prime. This is the first one. This is only for the tonic and the tonic octave or octave. So do to do. And then we have the perfect tones. Perfect. The fourth and the fifth. So the fourth, the subdominant, and the dominant. So the dominant here, these are the primes. Oh, perfect. And then the majors, the ones in between. The major ones are D, E, A, and B. So 2, 3, 6, and 7. So, what do you notice here? All the small Roman numerals are majors. The intervals will be called majors, meaning if they go down 1/2 step, they first go down to minor. And then from minor, another step down, you go down to diminished. But the perfect ones, those are the big Roman numerals, except for the one on top. So these are the 4s and the 5s, subdominant and dominant. Subdominant and dominant. Perfect. When they go 1/2 step down, you go straight to diminished. And then, of course, the perfect are the primes, which are basically not really given importance because they are like the base. So there's actually little exercises concerning the primes. So you just have to know that the primes have the same purpose as the perfects. Okay, so tonic and tonic octaves, the same. 1/2 step down, diminished, but all of them, when you step up 1/2, then you call them augmented. All 3 types of intervals. There. So hopefully this is clearer compared to last week. Sorry. There. Oh. So now, just a little question. Hello, everyone. Romeo and Kayan. So now, what is the of dominant of this? No. What is the dominant of this note? Can I? The majors? No, they're not. Remember before this question, since there's already a question here, let's put these back. Remember last time we created some chords like that. So tonic or the prime, and then 2. So again, why are they small Roman numerals? These 4, because of the type of chords they create. So here, major chord, that's why it's big. So it's there, because it's the prime. Then, because it's the first one, then it's the prime. Then here, the interval here is minor, third plus E5. Therefore, it's only a minor interval, small Roman numeral. And then here, hopefully I have enough. So another minor chord. But here, you get major. So F, and then major third, perfect fifth. So you get a major chord. That's why they're capital letters. Roman numeral there, and then here. I don't know. So there, you get another major chord because of the interval. Remember last week we analyzed the thirds and the fifths. So here, the 5 here is there because they're big, they're called perfect. Perfect. And then here, let's just borrow this. If you look at the chord, it's again minor because the lowest note here is an A. Normally, well, according to the key signature, the C should have a sharp, but then it's natural, so it became minor. And borrow, if we put that here, the interval is minor third and diminished fifth, therefore diminished chord. So, actually there. That's why in majors, all the small Roman numerals are the one here. So remember, for majors, you go down first to minor, another step down, that goes down to diminished. Whereas for the perfect ones, these two, when they go down, well, we include the tonic and the tonic octave here. They all go down to diminished, right? But the rest, all 3, when they go up, 1/2 step goes to augmented. So there it is. So now question. I have no question for you. Okay, so let's analyze the intervals. If I put here This is your third. So that's your 3. Can you give me that's the 3. Of course, you have to supply the rest. Can you create the major chord for this? Give me the major chord using this tone. This is the third tone of the chord of the triad. Can you type down your answer? Let's see if we can analyze this. This is your third. You need to look for the first and the fifth. 1, 3, and 5. This is the 3. Answers? So give me the major chord using this tone as your third. If it's too difficult, let me solve the first one for you. Okay, so since it's the third already, then you need to supply the first and the fifth. So the first would be down there, and the fifth would be up there. So there you go. This is now your major chord. Now, if that is your third, but there is a sharp here. Can you give me the augmented chord using this note as your third? Can you give me can you supply the missing notes? Are you with me? Type your answers, please. Let's see. So if this is the third, G sharp, then you need to supply the first and the fifth. So now try to construct an augmented chord where the third is already provided, which is G sharp. Answers, answers. So maybe you need the formula. And so for a major chord, it's a major 3 plus 5. So major 3 plus E5. Now minor. Minor 3 plus E5. So third, but one has cut down the interval here, and then diminish equals the minor third plus diminish fifth or degree sign, and then the augmented or the plus sign is major 3 plus augmented fifth. Okay, so can you give me the augmented chord here? The third is given already. The third is G sharp. The third is G sharp. Can anybody answer this? Okay, at least try. Okay, let's apply now the missing intervals. This is your tonic, so this is your 1, because that's already the 3, and this is the 5. So, analyze first the interval here. So, here to there. So, how would you analyze this? You're going to use the key signature of the lowest tone, which is E. If this is E, then you have to refer to the key signature. How many sharps? Yes, 4 sharps. And one of them is actually G. So F, C, G, and D. So G is already sharp. Then we could say that this is already a major third. That's already a major third. Plus, it says when we want an augmented interval, we need major third plus augmented fifth. So, of course, the pianist gets confused. So why would you say C? If you say C, then the interval would now be E, G, and like that. Then it's not in root position. You don't change the intervals. We need 1, 3, 5, not 1, 3, 6. If you say C, then this is 1, 3, 6. The chord is not constructed that way. It's always 1, 3, 5. So we have to do something. Yes? Let's see who gets it. B sharp. Yes, it has to be called B sharp. You have to put a sharp here. Because theoretically, it will be wrong if you put this up here. Why? Because the interval changes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is not a superimposed third. Remember, a chord is a superimposition of thirds. So here, you have to raise it up. Okay? That's why I said also in the thread of the page that you have to know the chords according to like this, to their chordal names, not the specific chordal names, but the theoretical terms, the theoretical intervals like this. So now you would know that when you raise this with a sharp, it's still sounding as C, but then theoretically speaking, you raise this 1/2 step higher, because that's what we're talking about earlier. If you raise the fifth, the interval of fifth, 1/2 step higher, then you get augmented fifth chord. So now you have augmented fifth there. Then that's your augmented fifth, augmented chord. Okay, so let's see. Can you take this away from there? Okay, so now this is your tonic. This is your tonic. Okay, now construct the subdominant chord of that given note. What? Oh, not subdominant, submedian. What is the submedian? What's the submedian of this one? Can you construct a submedian chord? No, the answer earlier is already correct. So earlier the answer was E, G sharp, and B sharp. That's the answer to the interval earlier. Okay. You don't say E, G, and E, G sharp, and C. Yeah, I'm telling you the types of intervals. So if it's from here to B, this is the exercise earlier, you don't change the interval here. If you say C, then you move up, you move the interval already. No, you don't move the interval. You only need to do something to the note to make it sound one half step higher. But you don't have to change, you're not allowed to change the interval. It says a fifth, so it remains a fifth. Don't put this up there or lower, stay there. You have to do something using the accidentals when you solve chords. Okay, so now this is the new problem. This is your tonic. The tonic or the prime is E. Now give me the submedian chord of the tonic. So yes, Marie Grace, you got it right. It's B sharp. So now here, can you give me the 3 missing notes? So the tonic now is E. So this will be your 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Remember? We always number the tones in the scale. So now your tonic, or let's just say if it's movable do, this is now your do. Or we can actually use the clef. Then let's use this clef as discussed in the opening of this lesson. But no, because a lot of you were late, so yeah. You'll have to review the video later about the clefs. So, answer. So first, you need to go up to the 6th tone. From here, counting the very first tone. This will be a 1. So if this is a 1, what is your 6? Can you give me the 6th tone? Answer, what is the 6th tone or the submedian of this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's use the red one. There, that's your 6. Then let's remove those. So right under this is now the sub-median, but I want you to construct the chord. So this is it a major or a minor chord? So you'll have to put a sharp. Yes, because the key signature for E has 4 sharps and C has a sharp there. So now, there it is. Very good, Marie. No, it's not D. When you count, you always include the first note. It's yeah. So this is how you count with regard to the notes. In music, when you count, you always start on that note, on the particular note, or on the given note. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's how we count, actually. But for music, you have to include the very first one. So now construct the submedian chord. Supply the rest. We need the 3rd and the 5th. Of course, yeah, all red. So there and there. So now, what kind of chord is this? This is not correct yet. You need to do something. So, since we're basing it here, What should be the fifth? This is a diminished fifth because in E major, the G has a sharp. Therefore, put a sharp here so that it goes only to the minor key. So minor third, fourth. Okay. Now, if I change it, if I want this to become major, I want this to become a major chord, what will I do now? So if I want to make this a major chord, what will I do here? Earlier, when it was like this, we analyzed it, it's only a minor chord. Now we want to make it major, excuse me. We want to make this chord major. What do we do? Yes, very good. Put a sharp here. Because earlier, this was minor third. Now with the sharp, of course, it goes up one step higher and it became major third. So now it's correct. So that's simple. So let's erase this one. Let's make it a little bit more complicated. Okay, so this is your tonic. This is your prime. No, I want to construct the diminished chord. This is the lowest note, the bottom note. So what will be the notes here? Can you give your answers, please? So we want diminished chord here. This is the lowest note. If you want to have a diminished chord out of this, if you want to create one, what will you do? First, of course, supply the missing ones. That's your third, and this is your fifth. So now, what do you do next? So what do we need? We need a minor third and a diminished fifth interval. So what key signature are we going to use now? Is it C major or what? Is it A or C or F? Of course, you have to follow the key signature of the lowest tone, as mentioned earlier. So F, F, G sharp, B. Why would you say F, G sharp, and B? Remember, a chord is always 1, 3, 5 if it's in the root position. So I supplied it already. So what will you do here? This is your 1, 3, and 5. Now if you want to make it diminished chord, what do we do? A flat, and then yes, that's correct. A flat and B flat. Why? The key signature of F major only has one flat, right there. It's right here. So, without the flats earlier, let's see. This to this will be just major third. Why? There are no alterations, no sharps, no flats. So, what do we need to do? Because in the diminished chord, we need to lower the third one half step. That's why Ray said we need to put a flat there. And that's correct. Now this is minor third. Another problem. This should be diminished fifth interval. So what do we do? Ray said put a flat there. That is correct. So from perfect, one half step down gives you a diminished fifth interval. And that's how you analyze it. So yes, so that's the correct form of the chord. Okay, next one. So now maybe we have to know the cycle of fifths. In C major, there are no sharps nor flats. So when you go up to the dominant, which is D, LG, no, escape, sorry. One, two, three, four, five, six, two, one. Okay, so last week we also tried to solve the intervals going to the right, scale wise. So we said that the third and the fourth, 1, 2, 3, the third and the fourth, and the 7 and 8 should have should be semitones. The interval should be ST, semitone, and then the rest should be whole steps. So here to there, correct, because G to A, there's a black key there, and then A to B, there's a black key, then it's whole tone. Now here, B to C, no black key there, then that's already correct. And then C to D or C to D, there's a black in between, that's correct now. D to E, there's a black key, so that's correct. Now E to F natural, it's only half a step. And we need, according to the formula, these two to be whole tone interval, to be whole tone intervals. Therefore, we need to raise this 1/2 step higher. Okay. To make this also a semitone. So now F sharp to G natural is only half a step. There. So in the cycle, the G gets only one sharp. And then the dominant, so it's always the dominant. The dominant of G, that will be the fifth tone. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is D. I'll just make the D one octave lower. So there. And then let's change them. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now let's see what happens. So what happens now? D to E, correct, D to E, there's an interval there, or I mean a black key, and then to then this to D to, no, sorry, E to F natural is wrong because there's only half a step there. Therefore, we need to put one sharp. And then F sharp now to here is semitone. That's your semitone. And then whole tone, that's semitone, so put there a sharp. So in D major, you get two sharps. So G, now this is D. Now the dominant of D, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's A. So let's transfer this here. And then, so the 3 and the 4 and the 7, 8. Now, here to here, whole step, that's correct. Now here to here should be whole step. But since this is C natural, then you put a sharp. Now from C sharp to D is half a step, and then here whole, and then whole, no, this one is F natural without the key signature there. So we put a sharp, and then F sharp to G also half step only, so we put a sharp there. So now we have three sharps. F, C, and we add the G. So as you can see, the cycle of fifths is actually a cycle of dominants. So from here, you go to the dominant of A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the dominant of A is E. That's why the next sharp here would be the key signature for E major. For E major, you add that one. And then what is the dominant of E major? So now, since that is the key now, you write it there. So what is the dominant of E major? The dominant of E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is B. That's why the next key signature that has a sharp is B. What is the dominant of B? 1, 3, 5. It's actually F. But since the F sharp there is already existing, one octave lower, this is F sharp. So the next key signature that has the sharp is called F sharp. And then what is the dominant of F sharp? 1, 3, 5. The dominant of F sharp is C sharp. That's why the last one that gets the sharp is C sharp there. So this is the shortcut version. So from C, no sharps, no flats, the dominant of C is G major. So one sharp for G, and then dominant of G, G, A, B, C, D. That's your next key signature. Two sharps, D. What is the dominant of D? It's A. That's why you have three sharps for A. The dominant of A is E. That's why you have four sharps for E major. The dominant of E major of E, what is the dominant of E? It's B. That is why five sharps is for B major. And what is the dominant of B? B major is F sharp. Therefore, you have six sharps for F sharp. And what is the dominant of F sharp? It's C sharp. That's why in C sharp you have all those sharps already. So the cycle of fifths, actually C, dominant is G, dominant is D, dominant is A, dominant is E, and then the dominant of this is B, and then F sharp, and C sharp. Now, let's try the flat ones, the flat keys. Let's analyze also the flat keys. So the C is still the tonic. So what is the dominant going up for sharps? Therefore, the dominant going down, the dominant from here, when you go down, let's count. So this is now the reverse form. 1, 3, 5. Don't get confused. 1, 3, 5. This is the starting point. Therefore, your first dominant from C going down when you go down is F. So the first key signature of the dominant going down is F. So let's analyze first. Oops. There. So mark it. So semitones. F to G, yes, that's whole tone. G to A, yes, that's whole tone. Now, A to B should be semitone, but here it's whole tone. So B should go down half step. So let's put a flat there. Now, from B flat to C, yes, it's whole tone. Now, C to D, of course, it's a whole tone. And then D to E, whole tone, and then E to F, semitone. That's why in F major, you only have one flat. So now, yeah. So the way to analyze and to get the flat keys will be exactly the same, but this time the dominants are going backwards. So what is now the the lower dominant of F? So F, let's put this one octave higher. 1, 3, 5. So let's erase this. So what is the next key signature that has two flats? That was already, it's D flat. Why flat? That's the flat already. So the next flat key is a B flat. So, well, sorry, how do we do this later? So now C. The first dominant when you go down is F. That's the one flat. Now for two flats, the dominant of C when you go down. Well, actually you can just say subdominant. And then B flat, since there's a flat already. And then the fifth of B when you go down, 1, 3, 5. This already E, but there's a flat, so we call it E flat. That's when you have the third flat. So now from E, there's also the octave, this octave, 1, 3, 5. So that's the dominant when you go down. Meaning, this is the one that gets another flat. So you put one flat there, and you call it a flat because there's a flat already. So a flat. So from here, let's get 3 down there. 1, 3, 5. So D, since this one has a flat already, D flat. We call it D flat, and you add another flat for the key signature. So now here, D flat. This is also D flat. Let's get the fifth below it, there. So G flat is the next key that gets another flat. So here. So 6 flats now is G flat. And then, of course, from G, there's your third and that's your fifth. There it is. Now you're down to C flat. C, there's a flat already, so you call it C flat. That's also the one that gets another flat. So remember, these were derived when you do the scale-wise analysis. So we did a shortcut now. Earlier we just did the first one. Same as when we did the chart. We only did the first one. So earlier, C, the dominant is G, the dominant of G is D, the dominant of D is A, the dominant of A is E, the dominant of E is B, the dominant of B is F sharp, the dominant of F sharp is C sharp. So now you can easily understand the cycle of fifths, or actually the cycle of dominance, the dominant cycle coming from C major. So this is the one posted by Carl in our page. If you notice, there's the cycle, the wheel there that has the sharps and the flats, but you actually do not know how it was derived. So now you know these were derived from the key signatures. So that's simple. It's just a movement of dominance, cycle of dominance. That's why it's called the cycle of fifths. So hopefully you would review that. So what else haven't we tackled yet? Yes, the basic chords. What are the basic chords? We did it earlier already, so let me remove that. So what is the basic chord inversion? Let's begin again here. C major. This is the root position, or just the prime. So just say prime, or root position. Now, the same interval, but when you transfer the lowest tone to its octave, C to C, then that will be your first inversion. So this is the first inversion. First inversion, so how do we call the first inversion? Since the prime is just 1, that's root position. We don't need to write the 1, 3, and 5. 1, 3, 5. So it's redundant if we even write those. So this is 1, but how do we know theoretically that we're dealing with inversion? If you're not, if the notes are not supplied, if there are keyboard players here, if you've noticed in the olden times during the Baroque period, you get a piece or a base that has Roman numerals or just figures down there underneath the notes, because it actually indicates what type of inversion or what type of chord according to the key signature is provided. But during that time, you as a keyboard player will be the one to supply the missing numbers, or the missing notes. So, for example, this one, when it's written as, let's count out 1, and then 3, and then 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Normally it's written as 1, 3, 6. But now but they have to omit that. No need to write the 3 anymore, because that's part of the root position. Therefore, you don't write the 3 anymore. That's why it's called tonic 6. Okay, I'll go back later to when I started about the explanation about the figured bass, about the keyboard players. That will be later. So now the same chord, but now this is the first inversion, still first inversion. Now, when the lowest note is transferred or moved up to its octave, which is E as well, then, of course, this will be the second inversion. And in second inversion, how do we label it? Still tonic, okay? Still tonic, but let's count now. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we count first the tone that we transferred in octave. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so 6. And then next is the stationary tone there, the one that we didn't touch at all. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why a second inversion chord without a 7 is called a tonic 6/4. If it's just 1, normally, like how I wrote down the chords for the scale in the previous sessions, including earlier and today, I just put the round numeral like that. So there. Now you know that when you see a tonic like this, it's in root position. It's always like this. Now, if you see a tonic 6, that means that the third is now your bass. The third is the lowest tone because the tonic there was transferred to the octave of that tone. And then the second inversion is when the fifth, 1, 3, 5, 3, 5. When the fifth is the one that is lowest among the three, that is tonic 6/4. So, of course, you know now how we got those numbers. So, going back to what I was explaining earlier, if now I remove this, okay, would you still know the chord? Would you still know the chord? Yes. If you're going to base it on C major chord, because no flats, no sharps here, you could still say that the tonic is C or Do, Mi, Sol. And then the tonic 6 would be Mi, Sol, Do, and then Sol, Do, Mi for the second inversion. Even if it's just like this. So even if you just see the Roman numerals and the numbers there, then you would know what chords to put there. Now, if I say I would put here 2 flats. So what would these be now? What are they now? Then your thinking would go now to the B flat chord, or maybe, would it be G minor? No, because that's a big Roman numeral 1. How would you know if this is a tonic minor? If the label you would see down here is small, like that, Roman numeral, then you would know that this is G minor. But since it's a big one, capital 1, then it's a B flat chord. So, how do you supply this now? It's very easy. So now your tonic is like this. Tonic 6, this will be the lowest note. Then, and then B flat. Put the B flat there. And then, second inversion, the fifth would be the bass. Octave lower is this, and then yeah, that's simple. See, without changing the Roman numbers and numerals here, if you change the key signatures, you'll get different types of chords. That's why it's easier if you know the function of these. The function of the numbers and the Roman numerals, then on any key you can easily apply, or you can figure out what chord is being asked. So let's remove these. So if I say now, what is the tonic or the prime chord for This key signature. Can you give me this, and this? That is your key signature. What is her face? Okay, I'm back. Can you guess? What is the tonic chord or the prime? The tonic 6, the first inversion, and the tonic 6/4. What key is this? Of course, since these are big ones, it's a major chord. So, what is this? Basing on that. A flat, so let's see. So A flat, and then Y, F, A flat, and then F and D flat. Well, we have to know the root position. The root position is 1, 3, 5. So this is 1, 1, 2, 3, but this is 4. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Something is not right. So first is the tonic. What is the tonic? You got the first note correctly. So this is the lowest note, your 1. What is the 3 and what is the 5? Oops. What key is this? Is it D flat or A flat? Four flats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 flat, 2 flats, 3 flats, 4 flats is A flat. So A flat, C, and E flat. Yes, that's correct. So what is now the first inversion? First inversion, or what is the tonic 6 of A flat? Tonic 6 of A flat. What is the tonic 6 of A flat? Who can guess? Tonic 6 of A flat. C, E flat, and yes, that's correct. Let's put a ledger line there. Transfer you up here. So first inversion went up. So now the third is the bass. And if we count from here to there, that's now the 6. So it's tonic 6. So what is the tonic 6 for? Tonic 6 4, what is the tonic 6 for? The fifth is the bass, so I'll give you a hint. So it starts there, octave lower, E flat, and then E flat, A flat, and C. Perfect. So that's how you analyze tonic 6 4, E flat, A flat, and C. Yes, you got it. That's how easy it is. So now, you don't need to memorize all those chords, A minor, G minor, and all. You don't need those. You just need to know the theoretical names, the the tonic 6, the tonic 6/4. There will be a session for when we add another note here, which is the 7. Because the first inversions will be first inversion, second and third inversion would be called differently. I already told you last week, but there will be a more intensive session for just the 7s. So very good. So that's how it is. Now let's remove these. Okay. Now one more exercise. This is your key signature. Now it will be the supertonic. Supertonic. So, can you give me the answer? Supertonic, including the inversions. So, can you tell me the answer? Supertonic, supertonic 6, and supertonic 6/4. D, F sharp. So, what is the key signature? The key signature is A. So, what is the tonic then? The tonic will be A. La. So, we need the supertonic, which is B. So, B. And then, what did you say? B and, yes, correct, F sharp. That's the supertonic minor. And then supertonic 6, or the first inversion. This is correct. D, D, F sharp. So now the inversion. First inversion for supertonic 6. D, F sharp, B. So let's see. Octave lower, D, F sharp because it's still there, and then the B goes up. So from down here, that's correct. And then 6/4. What is the 6/4 now? F sharp. F sharp is the bass. And then E. And then D. That's correct. That's how simple it is. So now, I'll go back to what I was explaining before. Back in Baroque and even a little bit earlier, this is correct. That's how you form the chords. So, normally a harpsichord player during the Baroque period should really know everything here by heart. Because if you're a keyboard player, you will only be given normally just the figured bass part or the part of a bass that has figures underneath. And then you're going to supply the missing notes. For example, there's a melodic line here, and then there, like this. That's all you see, just one line of bass. Perhaps this is the bass. But then down underneath, down there, you will see numbers like, of course, the first one is always a tonic, but then let's see. This is the tonic. That means you supply the tonic as A, and then the rest. Then this one, well, normally this should be A. And then something like that, there. And then it gives you here dominant, and then six, let's just say 6/5. No, let's just say only 6/4. Dominant 6/4, and then dominant, dominant. So let's say that this is subdominant or supertonic, or supertonic 6, and then dominant, so something like that. You will only get one line of melody and then the rest numbers here. That means you as a player, as a keyboard player, harpsichord player, should be the one responsible supplying the rest of the chords here. Here, it's 6/4. Earlier, when I wrote down 6/5, then there's a 7 somewhere. You will be the one to supply all of those. That means you have to know the theoretical formula how to get all these chords. So, but then the musicians are really equipped with theories. They know what they're doing. They know their theories by heart. They only use numbers as a shortcut, because back then there are no computers. They don't print it out for you. So when there's an orchestral score, and then the copyist would copy the part of the harpsichord, is going to just write down the bass line and then supply the numbers. And then you will be the one to add all those notes or chords afterwards. So that's the importance of this one back then. But it's also important still for you to know how to create chords or how to construct chords, even just by using numbers or Roman numerals. And if you know this, you don't need to memorize the key signatures actually, because it will just come out naturally. You can easily analyze them. You don't need to memorize the whole chart of chords, like when you're learning guitar or keyboard, where the chords are supplied there, one huge sheet, and you still make mistakes. So you don't need that anymore. Once you know this, once you're good at this, once you've memorized that, you know this is very important. You know already how we derive them, and then how to construct chords based on just numbers and the scale names, the tones of the scale. So next week, let's see, maybe you should have more exercises regarding this, and perhaps the seventh and the inversions of seventh. And then we also need to do the minor chords. So yeah, the minors are more difficult than the major ones because they always change. There are three types of minor chords. So I would say that's it for today. Questions? You can type your questions now if you have any. Hopefully you got something. It's getting a little bit more serious now. Questions? Are there any questions? Did I miss something here? So no questions. Okay, if there are no more questions, then yeah, then let's call it a day. So I will see you next week, and yeah, hopefully next time there will be more who would try to answer as well. Try your best. Try to memorize it. Okay, so enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks for staying, and bye for now.